stages of life are important prey to many predators. During spawning season, when salmon return to the streams from which they hatched, they encounter bear, orca, otters, eagles, osprey, and other birds. Humans, however, prey upon salmon more than any other predator. After the annual spawning feeding frenzy, carcasses in and around the area are scavenged by raccoons, birds, and insects. Deer have been seen licking the remains for a seasonal salty treat. Healthy streams are critical for all stages of salmon growth and development, especially in the initial stages of life. The colder the water, the more dissolved oxygen it contains for use by salmon and other aquatic organisms. Egg development and incubation, growth, feeding ability, and size are all affected by aquatic oxygen levels. Unfortunately, both the temperature and quality of water is currently threatened by the effects of pollutants, climate change, ocean acidification, drought, and the presence of invasive species. Appropriately sized sediment and gravel is necessary for nest or red building. Eggs must be deposited in gravel large enough to protect the eggs while providing space within the nest for aeration. Sediment any less than 2 millimeters can fill the spaces between the eggs and prevent their aeration. Vegetation provides shade and protection along the banks of streams for both fry and spawning salmon from predators. Leaves that fall into the stream provide organic matter to help keep streams healthy and provide nutrients for aquatic organisms. The canopy provides shade to help keep the water cool and provides a source of organic matter to the stream. Large wood, greater than 10 centimeters in diameter and 1.5 meters in length, is important to stream health as it contributes to decreased erosion and improves the habitat. Stream cleaning, for aesthetic reasons, causes increased erosion and reduced stream biodiversity. Woody debris, gravel, and sediment together can provide small eddies and pools for salmon to rest in and hide. In addition, woody debris can disturb water flow and contribute to water aeration. Sunlight is the ultimate energy source for life on Earth. Its energy promotes photosynthetic activity, producing organic energy molecules as well as oxygen. Salmon inhabit streams and rivers, most of which follow curved paths. The bends and loops, or meanders, give this river type its name, meandering. The banks of meanders exhibit alternate erosion deposit regions with faster and slower water flow rates. The resulting riffles and pool formations allow for a diversity of habitats and organisms that occupy them. Much less common are straight rivers. Rivers, or sections of rivers, which are straight, promote faster water flow accompanied by erosion. Meandering streams tend to be at least 1.5 times longer in linear distance than straight streams. Every year, several anadromous salmon, chinook, chum, coho, pink, and sockeye, return from the Pacific Ocean to freshwater habitats of Washington state to spawn in their natal rivers, streams, and lakes. Most of them are semilparous, making the trip only once before dying. After young salmon migrate to the cold waters of the Pacific, they spend 1 to 7 years in saltwater, consuming food and nutrients that contribute to an over 90% increase in biomass. The energy will be required to make the rigorous one-way trip as they negotiate miles of ocean and fresh water, numerous predators, and the competition for mates and egg-laying sites. Energy is also required for the transformations they will undergo. Spawning salmon transform from a silvery color to various shades of pink and exhibit species-specific color patterns. Male jaws and dorsal regions drastically morph, and the reproductive tract of females swell with thousands of lipid-rich eggs, increasing their body mass by 20%. At every stage along their journey and in varying stages of health, salmon provide a seasonal gluttony for their consumers in an annual event which is centuries old, fine-tuned through the mechanisms of adaptation and evolution. The fraction of adults who survive to spawn and the 1% or so of eggs that hatch and survive to return and spawn is a thread in the interconnected, sensitive, and unique food web found in the Pacific Northwest aquatic ecosystem. Most people do not, or do not choose to, witness the sights and smells of the post-spawning aftermath. Carcasses can be seen floating in the water or caught up on the rocks, banks, and branches. Decaying bodies can take on a yellowish color due to saprolignia fungus, and there is also the inevitable odor of decomposing fish. Any remaining eggs, an excellent source of energy-rich lipids and proteins, are likely long since eagerly consumed. Scavengers ingest the remains, and decomposition by algae and bacteria begin. Weathering releases the remaining nutrients before the carcass eventually disappears. Salmon-derived nutrients are contributed to the habitat both as a prey species and as recyclers of nutrients through their excretion and decomposition. Carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus is returned to the environment upon which its inhabitants depend. While quantitative effects of salmon-derived nutrients on their environment are difficult to demonstrate, an Alaskan experiment demonstrated a measurable increase in resident fish growth and invertebrate densities in carcass and egg-enriched habitats, indicating the salmon's apparent beneficial effect. Bears and birds act as spatial vectors of salmon-derived nutrient dispersal when they drag carcasses away from the water and occasionally into trees. Fragments of salmon can also freeze, releasing valuable nutrients during the spring thaw, a type of temporal dispersal. Urine and feces production can also aid in the dispersal and delayed release of salmon-derived nutrients. The Puget Sound region is home to 4.4 million humans, and their pursuit for habitat is increasing, continuing to transform the geography and stressing its natural resources for the last century and a half. Anthropogenic alterations of the environment have, until recently, all but ignored the requirements of native salmon. Effects of centuries of agriculture and logging have altered the flow and composition of natal salmon spawning environments. Dramatically decreasing Pacific salmon runs are causing ecological, economical, and cultural concerns across the Northwest and beyond, instigating habitat conservation and restoration efforts at watershed, county, state, and federal levels. Efforts to improve and restore salmon habitats can help the survival and passage of anadromous Pacific salmonids to their natal streams, fulfilling their important ecological niche. Pacific salmon travel through estuaries on their way to and from the Pacific Ocean. Healthy estuaries are important as a kind of nursery to young salmon, providing essential habitat as they eat and avoid being eaten by other organisms. Estuaries provide an environment for combining fresh and salt water for fry to begin acclimating themselves to a marine environment. Estuaries in the Puget Sound are threatened by contamination and degradation from the effects of agriculture and